The biggest advice I give to tax professionals is document, document, document. That's all the IRS wants. Can you prove this? They don't care about your feelings. They don't care about your memory. They don't care about your health. If you bring the receipts, you have a better chance of getting what you want out of the IRS.
Welcome to Deduct This, powered by ProConnect Tax. This is where tax professionals come together to share ideas, experiences, and fresh perspectives to help you grow your practice and your future. We're glad you're here. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome back to Deduct This with Carrie and Lexi. I'm Carrie.
And I'm Lexi. Today we have a special guest, and we are going to hear all about pulling back the curtain to hear how the IRS really works.
We are excited today. Our guest is Robert Norlander. He's a CPA, a certified fraud examiner, and a former IRS special agent. It's very exciting. He now runs Norlander CPA, and he helps tax pros and business owners navigate the toughest IRS challenges. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here.
We are so excited and such an interesting topic, and it's one that people always, ask about and what's going to be the big focus for the IRS this year and all the different things. And so, Robert, you have spent years inside the IRS before starting your own firm and digging into some other things, and you've taught tax, and you have such a fascinating background. How did that experience shape how you serve and give advice to people today?
Well, typically when people deal with the IRS are in two phases. One is the assessment side, which is the tax preparation, and the other one is the collection side, which is when the IRS is knocking on your door saying, how are you going to pay for this bill? The situation is that when you deal with these individuals, you have to understand, number one, that they're human beings. But number two is when you're a taxpayer, you're a cog in the machine. The IRS has a certain job to do. They want to do it. They want to get it off their plate, and they want to go on to the next case. That's how they get evaluated. Now, do some IRS agents have problems? They have attitudes. Yes. I mean, you get that with anybody in society. You'll have the bad apples and the good apples, and the one people are easy to deal with, not easy to deal with. What I kind of bring to the table from my IRS background is I understand the pressures that they're going through, and I also understand what they're doing and why. And when I talk to them, I'm asking why in a nice way, not as a kid. Why is that? Why is that? You're asking them in an adult way. Why do you need this? If you need this, I'm trying to get you to get this case off your desk so you can go to something else. And I think that's one of the aspects that I bring to the table for my clients is that I know exactly what they're looking for and why they're looking for and what documentation is going to suffice them so they can get out of our lives and go do something else.
Interesting. I know I've heard this for years. I've interviewed hundreds of tax and accounting pros, and IRS comes up a lot. And there's sort of this intimidating, mysterious factor to it, right? Because I think a lot of people there's so many laws and things are getting changed all the time, and people are trying to figure out what will work and what they, not how to manipulate the system, but really how they can find different angles on things like that. Mm-hmm. What are some of the biggest misconceptions that you've seen from the practitioner side about the IRS that are just straight up wrong?
I think they don't understand the process very well. And the reason why I say that is as a professional, I deal with taxpayers that are upset at their professional that they're not getting the job done, right? When it comes to dealing with the IRS. And so when I get it, one of the first things I say is, what did your tax professional do? And they'll give me, well, the tax professional sent this letter, and the letter is just not good enough. You have to understand your audience. If I get to anybody when it comes to dealing with the IRS, especially in correspondence, you have to know your audience. The first person that's getting your piece of mail, okay, does not have a doctor's in taxes. They don't have it. Typically, it's someone who is probably, and I don't want to be insulting with people, okay? It's the same person that's the drive through the window at your fast food restaurant, okay? They're there to open the mail up, and they're to put it in what pile they're going to put it in. Okay, that's step number one. So if you're trying to get, for example, a penalty removed, don't put in a letter you want to get the penalty removed. Put attached to it the form that says penalty to be removed, because that tells them, oh, it goes in this box. Okay, it just helps move things right along. That's number one. Number two is when you are articulating your point to the IRS, they don't care about your emotions. What they care about, they don't care about, your dog died and you've had a hard time in your life. They really don't care about that. Do you have the documentation? And so when you write a letter to the IRS, document something. I've seen stories will say my mother died, or no, not we'll go there. I've seen documentation where someone says I was in a car accident. They attach a picture of the car to the letter, and that's it. That's not going to suffice.
Not helping.
What you need is a police report or an insurance claim or something that says, here's the accident, or a copy of the emergency room bill where you got in and got your, got some stitches, something of that nature. That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for a pie in the sky. Please, I wave a magic wand, say some magic words, and you'll give me what I'm asking for. If you give them the documentation, you're almost guaranteed to get what you're looking for. That's number 2. Number 3 is realize that the IRS is the IRS. You got 20% of the people doing 80% of the work. You have that in any office space, okay? You're going to have people that are going to look at your letter and say, denied, because I want to go eat lunch now. It's just true. You may have a legitimate point and the IRS goes, we don't like your answer. Well, don't take it personal, okay? Just appeal it. Most people don't appeal it. They take it as face value going, oh, I lost, too bad, too sad. No. Go ahead and appeal it. Get an adult in the room where you can talk to them, and then more than likely you will get what you need if you have a reasonable cause for getting something done.
Interesting. Good to know. Good to know. So, our tax professionals, they are so smart. They're so wonderful. And a lot of them actually have worked in different areas of, or with the IRS on different cases. And so, I know that speaking with you a little bit before, you were saying thinking like the IRS is one of the most powerful skills that a tax professional can develop. What does that actually look like in practice? Like how can they just expand upon this knowledge and do that?
The biggest advice I give to tax professionals is document. That's all the IRS wants. Can you prove this? They don't care about your feelings. They don't care about your memory. They don't care about your health, your health per se, or like any other problems you may have. Documentation. And if you bring the receipts, the old saying, you got to bring the receipts, right? If you bring the receipts, you're going to have a far better, you have a better chance of getting what you want out of the IRS and winning your case than just saying I don't have anything. Now, there are times in life you don't have the stuff. You don't have the receipt that happened 3 years ago or 4 years ago, or whatever it is. That's okay. If you get something like there is an affidavit. Yes, I bought this car from so and so. He sold it for me for X dollars, and you don't have the receipt for it, but you have an affidavit or something that proves that in lieu of the receipt, that should work as well. Okay, so don't think that I don't have a receipt, therefore there's no evidence. There's plenty of evidence out there that you can bring to the table if you don't have that actual receipt. It's not a problem. I get cases all the time where I have an individual who had a personal transaction. They bought a car from a relative, and they say it's X dollars and they're trying to depreciate. The IRS says, "Where's the receipt?" Well, they don't really have a receipt for that, but we can get the relative to do an email or something of that nature. Show a bank deposit where they deposit that same amount of money into their checking account. There's going to be pieces of evidence there, okay, that can help your case.
And so I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt
That's
you,
okay.
but you're talking about audit. Like we're an audit state is what you're speaking about. But what about going a little bit backwards and preventing audit, right? Like how can our tax professionals be thinking even more strategically and and be in that mindset of someone to prevent the audit?
Okay. Good question, and there's a lot of fairy tales out there, okay? Number one, nothing's ever audit proof. You can only be audit ready. So you trying to figure out, well, this is going to cause me an audit, that's going to cause me an audit, nobody really knows. Only a handful of people know the actual formula that causes an audit, okay? So no one really knows. There are some circumstances that will cause a common audit, and that's typically the mismatch. A 1099 says one thing and your number says another on the tax return. Those are really simple. Those are mismatches. But to sit there and say you are being audited, no one really knows why. Okay. It could be various reasons. One could be the IRS says we're going to crack down on construction companies in the Southeast. And they start pulling some construction companies in the Southeast and they audit them. Why is it audited? Because they wanted to do that. It's very simple. So there's nothing in there that goes, well, you file this way, you're going to get audited. No, that's not happens. The best thing you can do to make yourself audit proof as much as possible is making sure you have all the 1099s and W-2s on the tax return. But even that may not even work because a 1099 could be rental real estate. It could be this. It could be that. It could be a lot of different things that should be on a return that the IRS says we don't see it, but yet still on a return somehow, some way, right? There's no way for the IRS to know exactly where on the 1099 went to, but it probably is on there. So even that is not bulletproof. But no, if you hear someone says, "Oh, this is going to stop you from being an audit," they're lying. They have no idea. Okay, because not even the IRS knows. And I will tell you this much too: the auditor that's getting this stuff, okay, is really getting this. It's plopped on their desk. Even they don't even know why it plopped on their desk. They just saying, "Work this," and they do. They don't ask questions. They just work it. So unless they're probably some type of team that's going after construction companies or employment companies or check cashers, whatever else it is, and they're part of a particular reason, okay, no one really knows why the place was audited to begin with.
Wow, that's a little disconcerting. I feel like it.
Yeah.
In the sense of, because I've heard that, right? I've heard those things like if you do this, you will not be audited, et cetera. Not, I mean, again, nobody can guarantee
Not even close.
anything.
They don't. You ask them for the source document. Give me the source that proves this, and they'll sit there and say, "Well, that's what I was told," or "Well, this is what I think," or "How I feel." Well, that's not source, right? That's just you making stuff up to make you look smart. Unfortunately, it works because people don't know better.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
that's
just the way it is.
It's mysterious, right?
Yes.
I think that's why there's that mystery. And actually, you even just saying that and saying, there is no rhyme or reason always. I do love the idea of, like, I think of it as almost like you think about a lawyer going to court, right? You have to have your stack of evidence of all your different things. And I like having the paper trail. For years, we always had our box of all of our receipts and things like that. And so I guess that continues regardless of technology. You may not have physical receipts like, paper receipts anymore. Everything's going to be scanned and things like that. But that sort of leads me into my next question about kind of technology. Again, I don't think that people have the whole boxes and rooms of paper any longer. And I know technology is really transforming the way tax pros work. And my guess is that it's also transforming how the IRS is operating these days. So how do you see the transformation happening with AI and automation? And is there any changes that people should think about with their approach to, again, the IRS and doing taxes for people?
Not really. AI makes the tax preparer probably smarter, faster, right? But when it comes to the IRS auditing something, or your chance of being audited, has nothing to do with that. If the IRS is going to look for people to audit, right? They may use some technology to help focus maybe some of their efforts, right? But at the end of the day, it's not going to affect the taxpayer. And at the end of the day, it may make the IRS a little smarter in how they audit things. But someone still has to be the brain sitting at the desk comparing this line item with this receipt.
Yeah.
So you can people go, "Oh, IRS is doing AI," and what?
Yeah.
What difference does it make? It's just to maybe make them smarter and finding maybe some more mismatches or finding some more egregious returns, right? But it's not going to somehow change anything. You still got to have someone sit there and do the work. Right. And if you don't have the auditor, if the IRS is cutting people, right, and they don't have enough people, I don't care how much AI finds something. You can find 100,000 of the best tax evaders in the whole wide world. If you only got 5 people to audit, you only got 5 people to audit. I mean, you only got 5 auditors, you only got 5 auditors. So what if AI finds more people? And you still got to have the bodies to do it. Is the whole point. So I don't personally, and I worked for the IRS for over 20 years, I don't get caught up in all this AI. The IRS is using AI. And what? So what? Okay. Someone's still got to do the work. So that's just how it works.
Well, it's just, I guess it's on both sides, right? It's helping everybody do their work faster, but like you said, you still have to have the human element. And I think that people keep getting concerned. And we've talked about this topic a lot. Is that people think that they're being replaced by AI, right? At the end of the day, you have to have both in order to succeed. And your example is perfect, right? Like the AI will maybe notify you that there's mismatches that maybe a person didn't happen to see, but if there's no physical human being on the other side, nothing can happen. Same thing with our tax pros, right? As they use AI in their firms in order to maybe move a little bit faster, be able to do some of the returns a little bit quicker. You still have to have the people and the relationships and be able to talk to your clients and things like that. They have to go together.
Yeah, AI, you still got to have receipts. AI makes me help you find it faster. Yeah. That's all it does, right? You still have to create a spreadsheet. AI may just help you do it faster. All it's going to do is help you do some things faster. Now, it may help you articulate your point of view. Maybe you have 3 points to make, and AI will help you make the 5 points because you're missing 2 and you think about it. That may help you out. It'll help you get faster and smarter in your job. But realize the IRS is still requiring you to fax stuff, folks. They're still in the 90s. This is nowhere even near, IRS is going to come after me because of AI. They're still requiring you to fax stuff. So folks, don't worry about it. It's okay.
So I guess
people in the office with the fax machines. It's funny. That makes me laugh.
I literally don't even know how to use one.
Oh my gosh.
I don't.
I have a war story where I had an IRS agent telling me that I had to be physically next to a fax. I said, "Ma'am, they don't even have faxes around these days.
They don't make those anymore."
No, because she quoted some IRM situation where they can't technically fax it to a server. And I was like, listen, this IRM section, frankly, is so outdated, it's ridiculous. Because no tax professional has a fax machine. Correct. I mean, they may have one. You may have 1 or 2 out there, but they probably don't have a website either, right? But no tax professional that does a lot of the return has a fax machine, folks. But yet I'm sitting over the phone going, "You've got to be kidding me," And I worked for the IRS for 20 years. I know exactly what they do. They still have fax machines. They still do. Yeah.
Who are they faxing?
Each other.
They're faxing whatever they're going to send stuff to. They have to scan it in, upload it to the server, and do whatever. And sometimes they still physically, when I left 5 years ago, they still have a physical fax.
Wow. What about, okay, so,
now, the good news is it's no longer curls, right? No longer curls like it used to. It's just straight paper now. But,
that's good.
They've upgraded from the curling paper to straight paper.
Yes. Lexi doesn't even know what that is. I
have no idea.
My first job, I faxed a lot of things.
You've never heard of dot metrics printer either, have you, Lexi?
No.
You never even
We're
knew that.
We're showing our age, Robert.
I know. Yeah.
Okay, well, so back to Carrie. I love this topic of like the myths that we're told, because I personally have had a tax professional tell me, "Oh, it's so much better to mail in instead of submit online."
It depends on what it depends on what it is. The power of attorney. The power of attorneys.
The actual return.
The actual returns. Well, let me put it this way. Actual returns being electronic submitted is a far better way of doing this, okay? Because the IRS is moving that way. When you submit a paper return, once again, remember, you're dealing with someone who's opening the mail up. Number 1, you're expecting them to get there, right? Number 2, you're expecting someone to open it up properly. Number 3, you're expecting to put them in the right box. You're assuming a lot when you mail something. You're just hoping that it gets to where it needs to go. And then someone actually looking at it, reading it, being intelligent, and making a good decision off of it, okay? That you're assuming a lot. Now, when it comes to tax return preparation and submitting electronically, I'm all for it. You should do that. It's better. You get instant confirmation for the most part. It's not that big of an issue. If you didn't know this, the IRS computer system doesn't keep every line item. So you put a bunch of lines on return, especially on the paper returns. They don't put in every single line item on the paper return. They only put certain line items, and that's it. No one's going to type in 1,000 lines of what your return says, on the paper.
What? This is crazy. This is why there's all these myths. It's like the mysterious.
When you look at a transcript, when you look at a transcript on a tax return, if you try to mimic a tax return that was paper filed, you will not get every single line item. You'll get totals. on certain things, just like a total
So
flex
that's
schedule.
probably true then. Then you have less risk of being audited on a paper return from the just pure.
Well, I would see, once again, it's the myth issue. Okay, no one really knows. Okay, no one
interesting.
really knows. There's a certain score that things do, and only a handful of computer people even know it. The commissioner of the IRS does not even know the formula. Okay, so no one knows. They just don't know.
So interesting. So really then, there's no rhyme or reason for the question of how do tax pros get in the mindset of being audit free, because it's really kind of like the luck of the draw. I mean,
Yep.
obviously there's like the standard red flags, right? Like the 400,000 miles on the car is going to like potentially flag someone, right? Like, I mean, but really, I mean, it's kind of like the lottery.
You're right.
Well,
If it's
paper trail, have your paper trail.
Right. If it's normal looking, because the IRS knows what normal looks like. If it's normal looking, there's not going to be an issue.
Yeah.
When you start having extremes, yes, the computers are probably going to pick up on the extremes because it wants to pick up on the extremes. Okay.
Sure.
But just because you're an extreme doesn't mean that it's not going to pick up. I've seen tax returns that are complete garbage. You look at it going, there's no way in the world, and you still get a $100,000 refund. Why? Just because the $100 the $100,000 refund goes through.
Yeah.
Well, it just does. So, and that's what makes a criminal investigation kind of interesting, is that the IRS will send out money, and you're like, why in the world is send out money to this? Under these circumstances, but the IRS does.
Let's hope we're not in that bucket.
As we enter tax season here,
I know.
This has been so interesting to me, and it's I guess it confirms the IRS is still mysterious. I mean, at the end of the day, though, I do love the idea of, check for the anomalies, make sure you have the paper to back up what you're trying to say. Extremes, but maybe take a second look at things, right? I always call them ice skating rules. Like there's the high and the low, and you kind of like get rid of the extremes on either side. But they, I still think this is super interesting. I think people will find this very. It scares me a little bit. I'm going to be honest.
I know. I have anxiety.
I see I'm on Facebook groups and that type of thing. I see return preparers going, I'm not doing that. I tell my client they have a higher chance of being audited. My answer is this: the IRS wants an accurate return.
Yeah,
that's all they want, an accurate return. And if that accurate return means that you had 100,000 miles on return, fine, it's okay. Put it in there. Will you make it audited? So what? If you got the documentation, what's the IRS going to do? Nothing.
Yeah.
Because you got the documentation. It's when you start making $100,000 mileage, on your returns, then you don't have it, that becomes a problem. But just file an accurate return. Don't worry about the audit. Don't worry about any of this stuff. Just file an accurate return, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. I love. Well, this has been a really interesting conversation. I've actually really enjoyed this.
I know.
That is it for this episode of Deduct This. For more from Robert, check out NorlanderCPA.com or follow him on LinkedIn for more practical tax insights. Thank you again, Robert, for your time.
Thanks so much,
Robert. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for being part of Deduct This, powered by ProConnect Tax. If today's conversation gave you something new to think about, visit accountants.intuit.com for more insights and resources made for professionals like you. We'll be right here, helping you turn expertise into opportunity.